Okay, this is Orlando Wilson, and what I want to talk about in this video is an aspect of kidnap and ransom that's essential if you're dealing with kidnap and ransom cases or kidnap and ransom investigations. And that is, you must confirm if the situation that you've been approached with or you're dealing with is actually a kidnapping and not just a fraud or a misunderstanding, etc. And this happens a lot. So the first thing to do if you're approached with anybody that says they've been kidnapped, or a family member of somebody that's been kidnapped, or if you're dealing with a client that's possibly been kidnapped, you need to confirm it is an actual kidnapping and not, as I said, a misunderstanding or a fraud. Let me elaborate. Many years ago, I was approached by somebody, for some reason this come to mind earlier. This gentleman had a friend that was in Latin America, and his friend's maid or one of his housekeepers' daughters had been kidnapped. Okay, what's it got to do with him? The family come to the maid or whoever, the housekeeper, come to him and told him, was crying and wanted possibly help with a ransom and all the rest of it, usual drama. This gentleman, being American and not too worldly wise, it's the first time he'd ever encountered such a thing, so he was going to pay money, he was going to do this, he liked the housekeeper, etc. I told him hold off, because the thing is, and I got another video up about this, if you pay once, you pay again. And why are they coming to you for a ransom? There's the reason, if this was a kidnapping, this housekeeper's child being kidnapped because they knew she worked for a wealthy gringo and they knew he would pay. If that's the case, then you can guarantee somebody else will be kidnapped in a few months' time. You know what? I told them to hold off, to see, don't worry about it. It's not their business to play hardball. And you know what? A couple of days later, the kid turned up. Apparently, his stepfather had turned up and took him away without telling anybody else. This happens a lot, where people will cry kidnapping and their son, their daughter is off with somebody else. They're off partying. They went out and got drunk, got drugged, off with a boyfriend, girlfriend for a few days, didn't want to speak to the parents. The parents panic, and all of a sudden it's a kidnapping situation where it's not. Scams. I've got another video, this story up in, I think I've written about this, it's in another book, it's in other videos as well, where we were approached years ago by a gentleman whose girlfriend had been kidnapped in Eastern Europe, and I used to get these calls regularly, once every few months. My girlfriend's in Eastern Europe, the mafia's kidnapped her, etc. No, they hadn't. And in this case, we were dealing with the client was panicked because he's madly in love with this woman that turned out to be a prostitute. She wasn't kidnapped in the country she said she was kidnapped in. She was working for a magazine in Germany, and she told this guy and made up a whole story. And if he sent her ransom money, I'm sure she would be taking a vast majority of that money. It was a business, it was a scam. The guy was being scammed. This happens a lot, where people will make up kidnapping stories just to extort money out of, or just to get money out of family members or friends or something. It's quick cash. Some guy, some girl, some child will say, get their friends to phone up their parents. Oh, so-and-so's been kidnapped. We're going to hurt them. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I think there's been some cases where they've even staged videos just to get the parents to pay a ransom to somebody, and the child, the parent kidnapping victim, was actually in on the kidnapping, and they were just scamming money at the parents. So this is where with kidnappings, you need to actually confirm what the situation is. And this is where most people, when they hear the word kidnap, they'll panic. Most security companies, investigation companies, if they're approached, will panic as well and think about billing. I remember from a domestic perspective, I was contacted by somebody, American investigator, a while back now. Can you talk to some other guys, some other investigators? They got a kidnapping situation, they need a child recovery, etc. And I'm very wary with child recoveries. We generally don't touch them because there's too many legalities involved. And I was on the phone with these guys, and they're asking me about extractions. And again, this was the Caribbean. We need an extraction team to go into this country, do this, and we know where they are. We want to pull them out and get the kid. And you know what? They didn't even realize what they were talking about doing in that country could be classed as kidnapping. So this is where, if you're involved in any investigation in general, you need to make sure what you're doing is legal. And what they were talking about, even though it sounded cool to them and they've seen it on the movies or seen it on social media, some influencer was talking about it. It was completely illegal, and it got everybody thrown in jail. They wanted a team to go into a Caribbean island, a holiday resort, and snatch a kid. Okay, cool. And I said to them when I was, after listening to their BS, I said something to them about this, and oh, but can you do that? I said, okay, just answer me one question. Does the lady that walked into your office, does she actually have custody of the child? Because again, I'm happy to help people, but okay, can you tell me, did she show you the custody papers, all the paperwork to say the kid's hers, under her custody and everything else? And the person you're saying has kidnapped the child is not the rightful person with custody. Everybody went quiet. Because even though they were talking about going and rescuing somebody, they never verified the facts of whether this lady that walked into her office actually had custody of the child, and the father that everybody was pointing the finger at wasn't the one that had legal custody. Because again, even if the father had legal custody, you're talking an even bigger mess. So that's something where everybody's screaming kidnapping and recovery and all the rest of it. You know what? People have been watching too many movies, watching too many documentaries on social media that are completely made up, and putting themselves in positions to get themselves and their clients into a lot of trouble. So this is where, back to it, you need to confirm if somebody is crying kidnapping, if you think there has been a kidnapping, if people are coming to you saying somebody's been kidnapped, can you help us? You need to verify the facts before, I would say, even getting involved. Because these days with a lot of things, if somebody has been actually kidnapped, then it's a job for the authorities, and the authorities, the police, law enforcement need to be informed. And in some places, if you don't inform them of a crime, then you yourself can be in a lot of trouble for not informing them there's been a crime committed. So I hope this video makes some sense and gives you a few things to think about. The kidnap and ransom business industry, a lot of it is BS, a lot of it is social media and Hollywood stories. Things do happen, and if things do go bad, the people involved, the victims and the families, need to be helped, not scammed. And I got other videos up about scamming security companies, etc. So in the meantime, I hope this gives you a few things to think about. Follow me along on social media. I got a lot more of these videos up. I prefer LinkedIn these days, even though we've got other videos and content up on the main social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. We do not use Facebook, and I prefer LinkedIn these days. And we're also up on X. I also have an array of books up on social media that talk about various aspects of security industry, close protection, investigations, and kidnap and ransom. If you have any relevant questions or need any services, feel free to reach out to me. I will get back to you in time, as long as I see you're serious. If you're serious, I will get back to you. If you're not serious, then please don't waste my time. In the meantime, be good, stay safe, and as always, stay out of trouble.